All right, good evening, everyone. Dr. Stacey here. Happy Tuesday. Welcome. Yes, I am on the Wonder of the Seas Royal Caribbean cruise right now with LifeWave. So I'm so excited to be here this evening. This is our formal night, so I am actually in a evening gown right now, not my normal attire, but I'm so excited that you decided to join us. I have my beautiful co-host with me, Leah Stacey, who is helping to admit everyone into the room and keep everything running behind the scenes while I'm getting ready to interview Dr. Cindy Bates, who is our amazing co-host tonight with me discussing brain health. So I'm going to bring Dr. Cindy on here, but before I do, I want to make sure you understand that I am not a medical doctor. Dr. Cindy is not a medical doctor. She is a doctor of chiropractor, and she's going to explain her entire background to you so you understand who she is and what she does and how she functions in the world of brain health, of course, which is what our series is about tonight. But just so you know, if you're here to hear more about LifeWave's information tonight that we're sharing is not intended to prevent, treat, cure, or diagnose anything that's going on with you. If you have any questions regarding to your health, your medications, anything like that, please make sure you're just check with your healthcare practitioner. Okay, they're going to be able to help best guide you in your journey, but know that the technology that we're sharing tonight is absolutely incredible. It is non-invasive, it has zero contraindications, no side effects or interactions, and know that it is safe and effective and affordable, of course. So with that being said, Dr. Cindy, I'm going to bring you on here with me tonight. And I'm excited because I've never actually interviewed you yet, Dr. Cindy. And I'm looking forward, you and I have worked together for a while now. And so I'm looking forward, let's let everybody know your background. Like you have a very extensive 43 years in the industry of wellness. Let's just say wellness. And so I would love to hear your background and who you are and where you're from.
Oh, well, I'm Cindy Bates, and I'm primarily a chiropractic physician, and I'm from Minnesota. So I did my undergraduate work at Bemidji State University and then went on to Northwestern Health Sciences, where I got my chiropractic license to practice chiropractic medicine. And that was in 1984. So actually, from that point on, then I also went on and I got specialized in acupuncture, which we were then certified in Meridian Therapy here in the state. Now it's become a doctorate program here in the state. And also I went on to sports medicine, got a certification to be a sports medicine physician, which I really love sports medicine. I love sports medicine because athletes have a reason to get well. They want to get well. They aren't excuse makers. They do what you say. And, and they're healthy. They get exercise, so they heal fast. So then I also have worked a lot with pediatrics, OBGYN. I have assisted in many, in helping many labor and delivery situations, whether it's the baby's not, advancing, it's not in the right position, or the mother's not dilating, or whatever. I've worked quite a bit with helping to stimulate labor and help women in the phase in prenatal as well as during pregnancy. I've, attended births. I worked quite a bit with the Amish. I worked quite a bit with Native American communities. I was in about 4 different tribal communities.
Certains sont recrutés juste pour leur certificat en IA, obtenu gratuitement via 15 minutes par jour.
4 different tribal communities working. So I learned a lot about their culture, learned a lot about Amish culture. Again, love the simplicity of that lifestyle, both of those lifestyles, because they're very much close to the earth, very grounded, very much not anxious about their health. They don't focus on disease, they focus on health. And I love that. So in addition to that, my husband and I worked in the first functional medicine. It was actually a work hardening clinic in Dallas, Texas. We combined physical therapy, chiropractic, social work, psychology, work hardening programs. and rehab people that were permanently disabled. And then we moved back from Texas, where we did work in Texas with some professional athletic teams, some pro football teams and things like that. In Minnesota, I did quite a bit of work with the college, with the university hockey players. I actually love working with kids in school because, they don't have the help they need. They don't have the money to get the help they need. But my focus has been on energy medicine. So right out of school, I had bought all the equipment that they recommend chiropractors get, the ultrasound, the high volt galvanic, and all of that. And I had a man come in a three-piece suit in the office I was working in, and he started talking to me about microcurrent therapy and nanotechnology and quantum energy fields. And it made sense that our body's cells operate in a very, very, very low intensity of frequency specific. Every cell has a different frequency, and they're very low amperage, milliamperage actually. And we're being exposed to, such massive currents right now that even I couldn't use equipment that was plugged into the wall because I was plugging my patients into the wall. When I discovered energy medicine, I discovered that the cells had to be kept at a very calm, low intensity of energy. So I purchased then electroacuoscopes, and I've worked, 43 years with electroacuoscopes, which use very specific computer technology to read the cell's energies and to restore frequencies back to healing tissues. It's mostly being used with professional athletes and horse races and things like that, because it's an expensive technology, and not a lot of people spend the money on it. So when I discovered, actually, Stacey, my first experience with the technology of the patches was coming from a patient. So if you're a patient out there, don't hesitate to bring patches to your doctor. But my patients are very well educated on energy medicine because I educate them. And so I had a patient bring in, some patches, and I thought they were, transdermal. I never even put it on. It sat in my purse. I eventually lost it. I hate to say that, Patty. Sorry. And then I was in the process of shifting my practice. So I, just got kind of busy, and I always research things before I ever introduce them to my patients. And I always try them on myself because I'm very intuitive, I'm very sensitive, and I can feel the difference. But it took about a year. I think it was maybe several months later, maybe a year later, when my chiropractic assistant came to me, with the patches saying, what do you think about this technology? And again, they introduced it as stem cell technology, right? And so my first concern was, I don't want to replicate damaged DNA. Right. So I was wanting to study to make sure that before we go replicating cells, we're correcting the DNA damage first. Right. So because I work with a lot of cancer patients and things. And so anyway, I found out these patches, correct 4,000 different genes in a matter of 24 hours. That's almost too good to be true. I hate to even say it because it sounds so unbelievable, but that's an incredible thing, that we can actually turn back the damage from, the environment we've all been exposed to. That just blew my mind. So I was all in at that point, when I found that out. So I tried it on myself, and the very first night, I mean, I have a lot because, being a chiropractor, I'm a physically hands-on chiropractor. So I muscle, and I work with a lot of athletes, so I'm muscling big people. And so I've had shoulder issues. I've had, a lot of, sports injuries myself. So I was having difficulty laying on my side, and I put that patch, that X39, right on CV14, and I could sleep on my side and fall asleep without radiating pain down my arm. That was a shock because it was the very first night. Every night I would have to treat myself with microcurrent therapy to be able to get to sleep without pain. And so that was kind of my first experience with it. And I thought, wow, if it does that for me, what's it going to do for my patients? And I understood the technology right away. I got invited by someone to come to actually Cindy Clausen is the person who invited us to come and watch a streaming event with Dr. Schmidt, because every time I introduce something to my patients, I go and I meet the inventor. I want to get to know the inventor. I want to get to know what's behind him. How do they think? What motivates them? What's their business practices? And what kind of research do they have? And I was blown away because I went there with 5 conditions. I said, he's got to say these 5 things, or I'm not in on this, So he had to say that we need to ground, we need to breathe, we need to drink good water, we need to, number one, pray and meditate. We need amino acids. He said, this isn't the cure-all. You need amino acids. You need to have a good protein base, and you need to digest those proteins. You need hydrogen. And hydrogen has been a part of my practice. I've used a hydrogen supplement that is the only one that is actually giving you hydrogen. And so, I hydrate all my patients. And so he talked about the hydrogen. He just hit every single factor that I needed to hear in order to really trust this guy and to know that he was on the right path. Plus, he loves the Lord. And he said, you need to pray. I love his research comes from the Bible. So I got real excited about that because I have, there is so much information in that book that is scientific. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And then I met beautiful Stacey and Melissa in Florida when I was there. And I walked into that cafe. I have to tell you, Stacey, that Chris and I came up on our motorcycle and we were pretty ratty looking because we were out there biking. And I walked into into that cafeteria area, and I saw the 2 most beautiful, vibrant, glowing people. And I right away knew that had to be you guys because you glowed. You just had a glow of life about you. So that's kind of my story with the patches and why I'm doing it. One more thing is that I am trying to get out of traditional practice. I tried really hard to close my practice and just sort of retire, but I can't retire because
right now, as you watch this, your brain is being hijacked. You think you're in control.
retire, but I can't retire because I just love what I do too much and there are too many people that need help. So, but I don't want to have to actually lay hands on every single person because I can only reach a certain number of people if I do that. And I didn't want to open up a bunch of different practices and manage all those. So when the patches came along and I actually saw that my patients would really have results, I mean, seriously see changes in their body, and they wouldn't need to come and see me. To me, that was life-changing. It was an answer to my prayer, really. So that's kind of the short but long explanation of where I come from and why I'm here.
So I appreciate that because, we've discussed kind of like how you got started, a little bit about your background, how you got involved with LifeWave, why you decided to use it, obviously why you decided to share it. And I feel the same way as you do about David. When you know where David comes from, the inventor of this technology, and his heart and his beliefs and how he is so very grounded and focused, but yet expansive in his mind and who he is and what he's opened himself up to be able to improve people's quality of life. It's just absolutely amazing. So I would love to hear, Dr. Cindy, in your practice, what are you doing or how are you sharing with people to share this technology with them? Like, what does that look like on a daily basis? They come in, do they hear certain things from you? Do they see certain materials, or is it just part of every day, or is it every here and there? Like, what does that look like for your patients on a daily basis?
Well, a lot of existing patients that I have, I've already educated on, the electromagnetic field and how our bodies are in an electric, field and fueled by by hydrogen and electricity. So, but there are a lot of new ones. And so that's the first step is I try to explain to people how our cells work. You have a positive and negative pole, and you have electrical current going through the cell. That's activating function. And so that's kind of how I explain it to people. And then, people, for a while, people were questioning the whole word about energy. And I say, well, you're alive if you've got electricity in your body. You've got, you can hook up to a EKG or EMG, and you've got communication. You're alive. As soon as that flatlines, you're not alive anymore. And so what we're doing is turning those cells on and keeping them alive and replicating them. So I try to, I like to tell you that I try to keep it simple, but I honestly, if you ask my patients, I don't really keep it simple. I'm not that good at really keeping it too simple. And then I just patch them. I just say, after your treatment, if you use these patches, it's going to increase the length in which this treatment holds. It's going to help carry your energy after you leave here. And you're not going to need as much treatment from me, and hopefully soon you won't need any treatment from me, and then you'll be able to go out and help other people. So that's kind of how I do it. And just because I'm not in my last practice was in the medical arts building, which would have been a great place to introduce these because we have all these other practitioners. But now when I close that, because I planned on, working more remotely, I don't, have a front office area where I put the patches. But so I pretty much just introduce them to people and have them go online and order them themselves. So that's pretty much where I go with it. I don't retail any of them yet. I've heard from the other doctors that are doing that, and that's a good idea, I think, to keep from having any patient and client, confusion. But if I say have one of my patients or clients order the products, I'll often try to connect them to someone else directly, that's, in my downline. So they're not, directly partnering with me, so to speak. But, that's sort of how I manage it. I can't say I had a real plan, when they came to me. It's just like, you need this, use it, and people trust me. And so they usually eventually do it. A lot of times, sometimes it takes a while. They want to, they just hesitate for some reason. And there's a few people that has happened with. And as soon as they engaged in using the patches, it just was a quick turnaround. So sort of how I do it.
So let me just back up just a second. You said that with your patients, they're all going to use it.
They're already what?
They're all going to use the patches.
Pretty much, yeah. I have very few that don't use the patches. Eventually, they pretty much all use them because, they try it and it works. So then they end up.
So you said your goal is for them to have better success outside of your practice, even
Correct.
to sustain the work that you're doing. And then eventually not even need you? Did you say that?
Yeah, that's my plan. Yeah. They call me doc in a pocket. I'm a pocket doctor. So,
What does that mean?
well, people call me up from all over the world, all over the country, and they'll say, help, my cousin, my niece, my sister's second, child has got this problem, and people will always ask me what to do about that. Well, as a doctor, I can't really tell people what to do without a clinical background, a history, an exam, lab reports, all of that, right? But they still call me because I usually do give them something to do. I don't just tell them, well, send them into the office. I usually give them something to handle in the emergency they're in. So now I can have them do this, and so it's wonderful because I can say, listen, this is what I recommend. You can turn on life with these patches. And so, try it. And then I kind of guide them to which patch to use, where to put it, that kind of thing. So it does allow me to help a lot more people without having to actually. So that's a top pocket doctor. I've been a pocket doctor for years and years because I answer my phone, when my patients call and help them along the way. I mean, they'll call me from the health food store and ask me, should I get this or that? My kids wonder about some of the things people ask me that are pretty personal when they read my phone. But yeah, so that's a pocket doctor. I might actually start a whole new thing with that.
It might be a great idea.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before. So when we're talking about the patches, so obviously you chose them because they fit perfectly with the way you educate your patients already and the things that you expose them to anyway. So this just makes perfect sense to be able to help them in their journey actually and to expedite their process in healing through their body. So can you tell me, what have you experienced? Because I know you look totally different than you did when Melissa and I met you at that
Yeah,
cafe.
wow. Oh, I'm glad you remember that.
Stuff. You look completely different than you did then.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
tell
that's good.
me about your personal experience with the patches, if you don't mind.
Yeah. You want to know my personal experience?
This is how to tell if your Parmesan is fake.
Parmesan Reggiano.
You want to know my personal experience?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, so aside from the pain went away, so then I slept better. And then it's kind of funny because we were camp hosting. We decided we were going to camp host. We thought we were going to retire and we didn't, but so we camp hosted down in Florida. And I take every job I do really seriously. I was just over the top, like trying to be the perfect host and just not even enjoying myself. Our friends were there and they're going like, why are you so upset? Why are you so why are you working so hard? Your only job is to greet people and make sure you're there if they need anything. And I said, because that's what I do. I work. And so finally I put an Eon patch on the right side underneath my ear because I just patched a lady that came in asking if we had campsites, and we ended up talking and she told me she had tinnitus and I said, we'll try a patch. So I put one under her ear and by the time we were, within 15, 20 minutes, her tinnitus was gone. And I was shocked because I hadn't tried the Eon patches yet. So then, I think it was connected to some anxiety as well and stress, but, I kept in touch with her, got her number, kept in touch with her. And, months later, this tinnitus didn't come back. But when I was feeling so driven, I guess is the word, OCD maybe, I'm pulling weeds, I'm raking shelves that I've already raked. Anyway, everybody else is enjoying themselves and I'm working. I thought, I'm just going to put a patch on me, so I stuck a patch on me, and in probably 15 to 20 minutes, not only did I stop working, but I didn't care that I wasn't working. And my husband, who had been trying to talk me out of camp hosting anymore, because he said, why don't we just rent a spot? Why are we hosting? Well, it's just that we have more freedom if we just rent it and we're the guest instead of the worker. And I wouldn't hear him really. I'm like, well, no, it's too hard to get a campsite. All of a sudden, not only did I decide I don't need to camp host anymore, but I also don't care if I don't get to camp host anymore. I'm going to just start enjoying camping, and it was a shift I was stuck in a rut of this idea, and it knocked me out of the rut is all I can say. And I started having fun, and I never went back, and I didn't have to keep wearing the patches. I just needed it to knock me out of that, you might say obsessive compulsive behavior that I had fallen into. It was after the hurricane, so I was driven to get this campground open and make it perfect. But so that's another experience. The Elevata has helped me with my sleep. I put that here every night, and my hair stopped falling out. My hair was falling out, and I would go like this, and I'd have a handful of hair. Now I brush my hair, and it doesn't fall out. So there's been a lot of changes, and they're all really, subtle. I haven't had to take my vitamins very much,
Mm.
and I feel better than I did sometimes when I took my vitamins. So I just forget about them, and I don't seem to ever run out of energy. So yeah, I think, can you think of anything else?
Well,
My
there's a
husband had carpal tunnel syndrome, and that went
okay.
away.
Wow, that's amazing. So his carpal tunnel went away.
Yeah, yeah. He's a massage therapist as well as he's a bodybuilder, massage therapist, and a physical therapy assistant. And
Okay.
lately he's been doing a lot of massage, and he's a deep tissue guy. And so he was having a lot of, and I think part of it is his hands are so thick because he's gripping the heavy weights. And his arms have been going to sleep for years. And he just started wearing, he would put an X39 on, and I would get a little upset with him because he just put it up right on the wrist. And I said, you can't just go slapping X39s all over your all over your body. That gets expensive. So I kind of talked him into putting it on, CV 14, and then using that one the next day for the wrist, when he puts the other one on, put it on the local areas where he was having inflammation and pain. And yeah, he's not, having to, he's not constantly working on his hands, and he can do the massages he needs to do. So yeah, just,
Nice.
it's part of our life. It's a part of our lifestyle really now. I mean, our whole family. Oh, the bird. I've had a lot of animal experiences too, so
Okay.
that's kind of fun. We've
You have a
rescued
bird? You have a bird?
a bird. Well, it's not my bird. It was a wild bird that flew into the window,
Oh,
and I have a kind of a history of adjusting birds' necks when they fly into the window. I decompress them, and about half of them, maybe more than half, I'd say 2/3 of them fly, get better and fly away. Well, this bird didn't. Get better, right away. And I laid it in a little nest outside because I didn't want it to fly around my mom's house if it came alive. And this one, I thought, well, normally after I decompress the occiput from the C1 vertebra of a bird, it will come back within a few hours. This one, it was 24 hours. Well, it's at least 12 hours, maybe 24 hours, and it just is still laying there. It was still alive. Its
wow.
little eyes were blinking, but it couldn't move. I put a patch on that bird. And I went away. I left the bird. I put it in the nest. I put a patch on the back of its neck, and I went back in the house, and sure enough, it flew away. After it took a few hours, maybe half a day. So that was a bird. And I have a calf that, is walking now because it was lame. It didn't have any function in its upper limb. It was born with probably a severe nerve impingement in its neck. And the patient of mine who is a farmer this is another pocket doctor situation, texts me and goes, "What's wrong with my calf?" I go, "I don't know. Send me a video. What should I do?" They go, "What should I do? It's lame. It can't bear weight on the right arm." I go, "Well, send me a video." So he sent me a video, and I said, "Well, that looks like a severe nerve impingement. It's not a dislocated shoulder." So I said, "Put an X39 on, put a collar on that little baby." It was maybe a week old. And then put a patch behind the collar. And by golly, that calf is now a cow walking around with 4 legs. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, I've had a lot of weird, then the brain, this is a brain thing. So, we've had a lot of really great results with neuro. This one I believe was neuro for sure, because it was nerve pinched probably from birth, and it healed that nerve. But I've had a lot of, neurological results with clients that I've worked with.
Wow. That's amazing. Incredible stories, Dr. Cindy.
Oh yeah, they're just fun.
They're just fun. Pocket doctor. That's a new phrase for me. Now I've never heard of that. I'm a pocket doctor. Like, oh, they just randomly text me anytime, anything, any place, and I'm gonna answer.
No,
That's
please
great.
don't.
No, not you, but I'm just saying I've never heard of that.
No, I mean you can. I know, but yeah. I mean, people texting is okay because I can respond when I'm ready, but I can't turn down someone suffering, that's hard for me.
We absolutely can't. I mean, if you can
Mhm.
give somebody hope or a suggestion, why
Yeah.
would you not?
Yeah.
And this is the technology that's easy.
Guidance.
It's
Right.
easy. Just put this patch on. Go about your
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Take it off 12 hours later. Stay consistent. Whether you're a dog, a cat, a cow, a chicken, a bird, or whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because it works.
I love it. I love it. Well, Dr. Cindy, thank you so much for being here tonight and for sharing your expertise and all that you do in your practice. I know there's so many people in the chat that they're just so grateful and so many questions, but we're going to have to save that for another day because, we're going to keep this tight and right, but I appreciate you for being here and all that you're doing to make a difference in our community and sharing and taking the time tonight. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
How to articulate thoughts into words more clearly. All it takes is 15 minutes a day to organize.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Stacey.
You are
Dr.
welcome.
Stacey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get back together again and have another
Yeah.
conversation. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we're heading down there in a couple of weeks. So,
Oh, we could do it in person.
yeah, we can do it in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, you just message me when you get down here and we could get together and we could have an in-person Zoom. That'd be fantastic. I know our
Yeah.
viewers would love that.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a minute, but to give you a quick brain testimony, because I know this was supposed to be about the brain. Do you have enough time for that?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to ask, so I kind of held that one off. So I have had a lot of really good results with concussions. People coming back out of a concussion. I just had an Amish person that was hit by a car in their buggy and airlift, they had, severe trauma and they were patched and she came out of it. I mean, she really, it was a life and death situation, but severe trauma. Then I had, I had someone that was not, my husband has worked in nursing homes. He's worked with a lot of brain trauma, a lot of strokes, a lot of Alzheimer's, a lot of serious brain conditions. And I've, had some people come here that he will look at and go, man, that's late stage Alzheimer's, or that's Parkinson's or whatever. I'm not saying we're curing those things, but he would look at him and go, that's what that looks like. And we've, I've done what I do, which microcurrent therapy and freeing up the nervous system, but sending them home with the patches and seeing people come right back into being, driving, being able to remember to eat,
Wow.
being able to remember to take their supplements, being able to remember to put the patches on and lead a normal life. Sleep disorders going away, addictive disorders, helping people get off of long-term addictions to think marijuana really blocks the dopamine receptors and interferes with normal brain function. And marijuana is actually a very difficult thing to get away from. Kratom, medications, sleeping pills. We've had great results. My mom has had insomnia for many, many years, and I take care of my mom 1 week of the month. And on the week I'm there, I slip a little Elevata patch underneath her pillowcase, and she sleeps like a baby. So, we've noticed a lot of good results, and maybe sometime we can talk a little more about that. But I just say it's just, it seems to turn the brain back on.
I love that. I would love to further that discussion. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing the experience of your family, yourself, and other people that you work with. I appreciate it. And we definitely
You're
need to come
welcome.
together again and further that discussion. So thank you, Dr. Cindy.
Okay.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. Well, everybody, you have a fabulous evening. Please get back with the person that invited you. They're going to be able to help give you more information about this technology and how it can help you and obviously the people in your lives that you care so much about. And of course, be able to talk to you about how you can take advantage of the opportunity to share LifeWave's technology and be able to buy this product at the wholesale price, as we do recommend of course, as well, for anyone that wants to use LifeWave to be able to have a wonderful discount on these patches that are honestly life-changing. So thank you again, Dr. Cindy. We appreciate you, and everyone have a fantastic evening.
You too.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.